Good morning. Welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I am Allison Troy, and with me today is Chris Plastic.
Howdy, hey!
And right before we started, we were talking about YouTube voices. And Chris, I would love for you to demonstrate to the people the voice that you don't use.
Oh, the one higher?
Yeah, the one higher up.
Yeah, okay. So this is YouTube voice. My normal talking voice is a little bit down here. So YouTube voice, and then clown is. Hey guys.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a second hidden channel that we don't advertise as us, and I'll get you to do all of the toy news in that voice. All the McFarlane toy news, and there's no more women, and there still isn't women in this line, and in the clown voice.
You won't believe it, guys, but there's a Batman.
Right. That'd be great. All right. Good morning, Andrew. Gady's Toys is with us. If you don't know, if you're watching this and you don't know who Andrew Gades is, go check out Gades Toys. Amazing
Shame on
content.
you.
One of my favorite content creators. Also, one of my co-hosts on Retro Cavalcade Rural Juror, which we're going to be aiming for doing once a month. So fingers crossed that we'll be doing the hot takes from New York Comic Con after they happen, of course. Good morning, Brennan. Lovely to see you. Welcome. Brennan does not have a channel, but Brennan is amazing. So, yes, right? Exactly. Exactly. Hi. No, ironically, one of my warm-ups for the show on Sundays, I watch Jen Love's channel and she does makeup. And she's been doing this deep dive on James Charles, who I had no effing clue who he was. And I was just like, oh wow, I missed an entire time of internet culture by not being on the internet at that time in this way. So, but yeah, there was a whole palette thing that happened. So, good morning, Thanos. Welcome. I still need to catch. I don't think I watched Thanos's episode from last week. Thanos is not safe for work, which is what we say whenever you may have delicate sensibilities, and that's too bad because Thanos does fun, exciting things. Good morning, Mint with Guard. Welcome. I hope so. Yeah, it's me and Chris, and me and Chris we're not quite as sassy as it is when it's me and Andrew and Derek, but Chris and I do get pretty snarky, especially once we get to the McFarlane stuff. Really quick, let's do the technical part of what is happening here. We are coloring pages and I don't know what we're coloring. Chris was like, "Hey, let's try this." And I'm like, "Sure." So this is My Hero Academia. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that it does make sense because I googled it and it looks like the same characters, but I'm not an anime girl, so I don't know. So Chris picked 2 pages. There's this one with all of them. I'm going to start with this one with the robot girl. And I'm assuming that's what I did not Google names. So I'm assuming she's Robot Girl.
She is Uraka Ochaka. I can't get her name right. Oh my god, it's happened. I'm falling apart. Ochako. She has the ability to manipulate gravity around an object she has touched. So her superhero name is Urabity.
Okay, and she has I don't know if you can't see it the way my camera is, but she has almost just this. So she almost has like opposite life filled feet, where instead of turning into little tippy toe ballerinas, they're just like chunky. She's got like super cankles, which in my 20s I did as well, so I appreciate the representation. So
yeah, no, My Hero Academia, for those who don't know, like Allison, is a really fun anime that's kind of the Japanese take on Western superheroes.
Okay.
So, it's a society where 96% of everyone born, or 94% of everyone born, has a superpower.
There you go. Derek is with us. Hello, Derek. All right, and the chat is saying hello, so that's a good sign. All right, so let me. I'm gonna quickly pull up the handy dandy reference photos you sent me. So she's a brunette, which we dig.
I do have my McFarlane toy of her, and sculpt is terrible on her face. So, but I'll have that in my.
Wait, McFarlane made a lady. He made a lady figure. Oh my god, what?
They hilariously. So there's a character who's invisible. So
Yeah.
her costume is just gloves and like boots because
Yeah.
you know. And they made a figure that was just like a clear plastic with gloves and boots, and sold that. So technically, a girl, as minimally as possible, for McFarlane.
So Kenzo has joined us, and he's saying, "Hey, happy Sunday, go Broncos!" So apparently, the ghost of O.J. Simpson has risen from the grave. Our more likely teenagers went to Crystal Lake this weekend, had sex, did drugs, and cursed. And OJ came up out of the lake, put on the hockey mask, and now he's driving a Bronco. So people beware. The corpse of OJ is back, and yeah. So, yeah.
I get to be in Kenzo's neck of the wood next week.
Nice.
I have Bronco tickets, and I have my reservations for Casa Bonita.
Kenzo's neck of the woods is lovely. Speaking of Kenzo, I'm just quickly going to thank him. He sent me a box of joy. He sent some resin heads for figures and whatnot, and a resin catra. And I mentioned this because at some point, once I'm all set up in the new studio space, Kenzo and I are going to do a collab where he walks me through painting a resin catra from the She-Ra and the Princess of Power show. So
very cool.
So it was exciting, and it's really cool. Like, resin figures have come a long way in the last 4 to 5 years. So I'm quite excited to see that. So anyway, thank you, Kenzo, and you guys all have to look forward to that with he and I collabing.
We're official. Nolan's here.
Oh, Nolan is here. Hey. Quickly, everyone, Nolan is here. We officially have been sanctioned as an official Toy Tubi content-y thingy. So yeah, we got it. And so yeah, welcome Nolan. Great to see you. Oh, here's what I was looking for. I'm even going to break out my manga Prismacolor set, which I buy because it has, as you can see, I use the chartreuse quite a bit, and then the processed red, which is just a fancy color for like a pinkish violet cut. So I'm gonna use those.
And Brick is here.
Brick. He's a brick house, you guys, or a brick something. I don't know.
Either way, he's mighty. And I promise you, every week he's letting it all hang out.
Yeah, it's true. He does on his stream, which will be later today. Go check it out, everyone. It's like super awesome, very exciting content. There's no sadness in his content. It's not him being a sad ego clown because he no longer has a job in Toy 2. I mean, like a toy industry, and just makes Toy 2 videos now. And if you're wondering what that's a reference to, if you know, you know. And if you don't, you don't. But I could probably be convinced to tell you through private message. So anyway. All right. So I guess.
I mean, that's a whole debate getting into.
Yeah, it's debatable. I mean, but it's only debatable among lifelong toy collectors, though. You can't just you can't be like Johnny Nostalgia, new toy guy, and try to have these sort of debates because you are not a lifelong toy collector. You're just some dude. And so. That's what we should call her. the YouTube channel will do with you doing the clown voice. Toy news. We'll call it clown news or something. Clown news toys or something along those lines. And it'll be exceptionally fun. Okay, so it looks like some of these lines on her are just artistic. Because
giving her depth, I guess. I don't know.
Which is fine. It means I can shade. We've been trying to lean more into shading rather than like adding layer upon layer of colors to create shade. So this will be a good test for that because anime tends to not use a ton of color and just really specific, really bold. So
I guess I could have walked away and just left this black and white and been like, hey, guess what, guys? We're accurate to the manga.
We're right. But oh no. But you have a McFarlane figure of it, and it's a lady figure from McFarlane, so we kind of have to do this just to celebrate the fact that he made a lady that wasn't a Bat Lady or a Wonder Woman.
Right. Now, nobody bought it, so I think he's given up the license completely.
And he's going to think, oh, nobody bought it because it was a lady, instead of nobody bought it because you're not necessarily... I don't know.
I actually think it's funny that he made role-play toys for this line.
He did. That's very unlike him. Like,
oh, I hate these Amazon pencils.
They are tricky. You have to really... So what I like, since you brought it up, and this is, we do color on my channel. What I will say about the Amazon pencils is, for the price, they're a pretty decent set. What I don't like about them is you have to work them really hard to get really good results from them. And I think, for me, coloring, even when it's me coloring something to make a video, it needs to be fun. And I don't feel a lot of... those Amazon pencils, when I use them, do not spark joy. Because I have to work them really... My hand hurts a lot more after using them just because I have to work them hard. I have to work them like it's Andrew down at the docks during Fleet Week. So...
quick reminder, Allison is monetized.
I am monetized now, right? Yeah. Yeah, I guess we should... let's briefly touch upon that. I am monetized now. I am level 1 YouTube partner, which means I can offer membership at some point. Right now, because I sort of mentioned it, we are sort of in the process of moving, so I don't have a lot of extra time to sort of sit down and brainstorm or even offer sort of any perks or bonuses for members. So I don't have a membership up yet. Once I'm all settled in and the move is complete, and honestly, probably around the first of the year, I'll have an idea of some fun things I can offer for membership. In the meantime, super chats, super stickers, super thanks, all of that is activated. So if you have ever thought, how can I support the channel in some small way, those are ways. Every little bit counts. So, oh, hello, Kenzo. Thank you. Yes, I will be bringing out the... oh, and Kenzo is... so, that's my first super chat. Thank you, Kenzo. So, okay, so here's where we... so, rule of thumb, if we're on a live stream and someone does a super chat, we'll just leave it up there for a little while, and everyone has to talk about how cool Kenzo is. So Kenzo is super cool.
You know, he's a super talented customizer who does some...
yeah, if you need somebody to bring out the olives, Kenzo has your back. Like, it's true. Like, he exactly will... he'll just show up and there'll be like a whole jar of olives, and he'll even bring the fancy kind sometimes that have like garlic or cheese in them,
Ooh, I
Not
love
just
a garlic stuffed olive.
yeah, yeah. Not just this, I like, don't get me wrong, a good pimento stuffed olive is exceptional, but Kenzo will bring the fancy, like, signature series from Walmart kind. So,
Yeah, not that great value stuff. No, 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 no,
yeah,
no.
not the great value, the signature select, like the fancy Walmart brand. The one that sometimes is expensive as like the name brand. So, because it's signature select. Um, yeah, so. And Kenzo says, "Woo, I'm the first in something finally." And I had a really rude joke. I'm not gonna say because you just bought a super chat, but I will message you later with that one. But
I,
just suffice to say that for those of you wondering what the joke could have been, he said, "Finally the first in something," and I'm like, it would have been something about like his ex-wife. So yeah, just
well,
you
yeah,
can go.
I was thinking something like, I know when I'm with my wife, I'm usually done first.
Right. So there were just some ex-wife jokes in there, and yeah. So use your imagination. I believe in you all. You can do it. You can do humor. Just make sure you don't get canceled because I'm not gonna say that I encourage you to do humor if you do something that gets you canceled. And for the record, cancel culture usually when it happens, it's to somebody terrible. So
Right. That's let's be honest, those people sometimes earn it.
there's occasionally where somebody got canceled for something really dumb that was dumb, but most of the people I've seen who get canceled, like on TikTok, have done something super racist, and I'm just like, I can give people some grace, but like when you drop the N word, um, I don't, like on purpose and record it and put it up for the whole internet and then double down.
Right. If you never stopped and went, is this a bad idea?
Yeah, right. And you know that that's not a word you should use. Like, there's nobody who should use that word. Um, if you're gonna get canceled, I mean, there are obviously rappers who use it, and there are people who use it amongst themselves because they've reclaimed the word, but that's a little different.
Taking it back.
Yeah. So, anyway, Allison on cancel culture. Clip it. No, just kidding. YouTube keeps telling me you should clip some of your lives for shorts, and I'm like, I don't like those kind of shorts. I don't watch those. I only make shorts that are stuff I want to watch. If you ever wonder how do I determine what kind of videos to make, it's because it's something I want to watch. I am making content for myself, and hopefully the rest of you guys enjoy it. So, holy moly! Thank you, thank you. Well, Brick has just done a super chat, so we now need to talk cool about Brick some more.
So I've
Um,
met Rick in the real world.
oh my god!
And I will tell you, the man has the most stylish shoes I've ever seen.
I can imagine, like, because we don't see his shoes on live stream, so I have to
Right.
imagine that I have to imagine he has feet, and they're not like I bet your feet are not Rob Liefeld feet, Brick. So you've got that going for you for sure, because because if you've got Rob Liefeld feet, you're basically a ballerina with a lot of pouches, or as we call her, my ex's little sister who took ballerina classes. Anyway, but yeah, no, Brick is super cool. Brick is Brick is, like he gets sort of like, oh, don't. But one of the main reasons I started, finally got off my butt and started making YouTube content was Brick was like, you just need to get off your butt and do it. And I did. So here we are. So,
Right. Of all the creators I felt like we kind of hung out with and really started along with, Rick rising as quickly as he did is completely earned. The man is charismatic.
oh
He's
yeah,
a really
no.
nice dude.
Every time Brick hits like a new milestone in his journey as a creator, I'm like, finally, one of the good guys wins. It's not like toy ego suck, dude. With his little clown videos.
Oh man, let me tell you, he's mentioning the last time he was in a Walmart was with me, and this is how classy I am. I had to give him a breakdown of like, oh, you guys, there's a secret clearance aisle. You know, like,
Oh my god.
let me tell you about Walmart life.
Oh wait. Andrew, we've all seen you on, and if we haven't, I recommend go find Andrew on Instagram. But we've all seen your your rogue cosplay, so it's like we know better. We know that, like,
You know,
man,
that could be just AI.
there's a no, there's a reason. Like Andrew is like the only friend I have that I can legitimately say, like, y'all, he kind of does thirst traps. I mean, if you go, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I try, but you know, I end up getting more blocks that way. I guess. I don't know.
People are just like, come on, what? All right, so I'm double checking on this pink robot lady girl person from the cartoon, and there we go. That's what I was looking for, because like the references you send me don't, like, they've got her posed, so
Right,
that
so
the
you don't
little
quite see
wrist
the
clip,
chest.
so I couldn't see what was happening here, but it's also great, which is what I assumed, but you know. You want to be careful about assuming things, because when you assume, you make an ass out of everybody else because you're always right. I was wrong one time, and like it's a moment I have regretted it ever since.
Oh, I just assume I'm wrong all the time, and it makes life easier.
I'm often not right, but I'm never actually just wrong. Like there's a difference. It's subtle sometimes. Like I've had bad takes, but I've never actually just been wrong. Um, you know, because it is how it is, right? Right, there we go. Oh yeah, like this is a cute little costume she has. She, like, how old is this person?
That's a good question. You think I know it? They're all first year high school students.
Oh, okay then.
Because that's kind of the trick in this series is you know, if you have a really cool super ability, you can apply to a superhero high school to eventually
Okay,
get the job of superhero. And so they're first year students at a superhero high school.
okay.
And not just any superhero high school, like the most prestigious in the country.
The one where like they go to recruit, like, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
You know, because some people's ability is like, well, I can make a bubble shoot out of my pinky finger. Like it's not anything worthwhile.
Good morning, Alex. Black Phoenix has joined the chat. Lovely to see you. In case you've missed it, Alex, earlier Kenzo did my first super chat, and and the way it works with super chats is we prop up the people who leave them because there are financiers. And Kenzo is super awesome and cool. Go subscribe to his channel. He'll always bring me olives. And then Brick also sent some money our way. And Brick is just super amazing, cool, exciting. So, and then see, he's saying hi to Kenzo because Kenzo is so amazing.
Right.
So it's just how it works. And so that's the one thing I can offer right now. Everything's scattered. I had to pack up a bunch of stuff last night that I was not emotionally equipped to pack up. It was like, it's time. I did a bunch of coloring books last week that I haven't like scanned or filmed flip throughs for or whatever. And I literally said, and I'm like, there is no way in the next, like 4 to 6 weeks, I'm gonna have time to film any flip throughs or scan these books. I have a stack of scans I haven't even cleaned up yet, and I'm just sitting there like, but what if? And I was just like, just focus on what you have. Put this stuff in a box. It's time to do this. And so it was very weirdly triggering, but it'll be good. Once we're done, I'll be able to actually display almost everything. And if I can't display everything, then that means it might be time to sell it. So.
Oh, I'm in that reality. I'm looking at my display thinking I need to downsize because I have so many bins of unopened stuff.
Well, everything has been so piecemeal, like the last, as sort of we've been working toward this goal of getting a place, that it's just like I haven't ever, it's been like 10, 15 years since I've had everything out of storage just because, like you sort of work toward buying a house over time, and it's like, we've been in a market where it's like cheaper to rent until it's time to buy, obviously. So we've just sort of been renting the smallest, that's a word, sort of the smallest and, like most frugal places we can. Because even with sort of a storage space, it's still been cheaper than renting a big enough place for everything. So it is just, and then there are probably a few purchases I've made over time that I would not have made if I had my full collection. So it'll be nice.
Rick asked if we all saw Alpha Magnus's awesome cosplay at Joe Lanta this weekend. I have not, but I want to quick comment. If it was Joe Lanta in Duluth, it should be Joe Luth.
No, I don't. No. No. I think you need to say that one again in your head a little bit.
Joe Luth.
Yeah, there are a couple places where that could go wrong. So let's just think about that.
I'm just gonna stick with it. I don't care. It is what it is.
I did. He did Prophet Director Destro.
Okay, very cool.
And he
Alpha
showed,
Magnus.
yeah,
He's a very talented cosplayer.
Showed a little chest hair as well. So yeah, his Dunkin' Donuts Man at Arms cosplay was epic and brilliant. So everyone go check out Alpha Magnus. And he doesn't do much of the cosplay on his YouTube channel. It's all his figure stuff. Cosplay stuff is on Instagram, but you go check all of his stuff out. He's a good dude. I had him on for a live stream at one point. It'll be nice once I get moved and settled and I can start sort of plotting out who to have back and who to have for the first time. And so, in good times. Oh, you were in an internet beef. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So did he insist that Diet Dr. Pepper tastes more like regular Dr. Pepper? And you were like, no.
Is it because he doesn't like the sequels? I assure you, it's just a personal opinion about the movies, not the normal Star Wars sequels nonsense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of those hot takes, but since it's not couched in racism or misogyny or just being an asshole, I let him have those opinions without challenging them. So, because you cannot like the Star Wars sequels and have it be just because you don't like them and not passive aggressive nonsense. So, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Rise of Skywalker because that movie is just so haphazardly thrown together in an attempt to, I'm going to finger quote it, course correct, and there's a lot that it, I think, misfires on because of that. But, it's still...
Yeah, the biggest issue I have with Rise of Skywalker, it always comes down to Star Wars with me. It didn't say yes and to the previous movie.
Right. Yeah, there is that. Yeah, I don't know. I just, in general, I think there was a lot of creative black holes that it went into, and it's difficult. Carrie Fisher is no longer with us, so you're kind of limited as far as what you can do on that side of it, and nobody thought about the fact that in The Last Jedi, when Luke becomes one with the Force, um, his fake hand goes with them, which it actually should have dropped off and remained behind, which was an easy out to say that he was just in the in-between places like Ahsoka was, and they could have easily just brought him back in Rise of Skywalker. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That's actually a really good idea. I didn't even think about that. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I love the World Between Worlds. It's a really fun concept.
Oh, yeah, see? Exactly. He agrees with the fifth Dennis that doesn't shoot Trident.
Oh no.
Exactly. You're actually correct, Thanos monster. Just pure monster. I mean, there's a reason, but I mean, I feel bad for people who have to go to that fifth dentist because he's the only one that they can afford. Like what kind of hell is that? Like, poor guys. Anyway.
So I'm gonna do the thing all anime fans make the mistake of here,
Oh.
where I'm doing the flesh tone on the characters.
Uh-huh.
So I think we Western fans of anime often think of the characters as being Caucasian, but they're not. They're Japanese. We just don't think of it that way because of our own internal biases.
Well, right, because the sort of finger quote skin tone that we see, there are people who are Asian who are sort of that, like the quote unquote Caucasian skin tone exists for Asian people. So, like, Asian skin tones are a spectrum, spectrum, yeah, spectrum of, like light to dark. It's very varied. Like, there are very dark Asian people and there are light Asian people. So yeah. Oh, are you?
Yes.
When you open the door, there's a package.
Okay. Do you need anything?
My initial reaction there is to just go, "How did you know?"
Cookies. So, Matt is going to the store, and Mattel Creations delivered in the last hour or so. For those wondering what the side convo was. All right, be careful. Watch out for snakes. I've got a snake problem around these parts. And so he was gonna watch some game that's happening today with like horses or something, and then he realized I was live streaming, and he's very loud when he listens to sports ball. Like he screams at it when like the referees are dumb or some such. So he was like, I'll just watch the replay after you're done with your live stream. That's how you know you're with the right person. They give up sports ball so you can have a good stream. All right.
See, I'm a jerk and have the sports ball going in my ear. Right?
Yeah, I know. I wasn't at all an internal reference.
Oh, I know. I was just owning up.
Yeah, I know. This week on Alice and Troy, Retro Toy Princess. Deep Confessions. No. Yeah, no, it's a little bit different. He literally would. Like, there are times where I don't film because he like gets so excited that it shakes the floor, and that is all wonky with the camera. So all right. This is cool, actually. I'm feeling a lot less. Sometimes I get really sort of caught up on being super accurate with the things I color, and it's kind of cool. I have no attachment to this character and no knowledge, so I'm not feeling. And I'm not doing it like as a short for like. I'm doing this so we can hang out and talk in color.
Sure.
So like it's a lot less, like stressful about. Oh, it must be exactly correct. So
Well,
I
and one of
appreciate
the
that.
fun things about the show is that, they're kids. So,
Yeah,
things happen, costumes get torn up, they do these things, and they're like, oh, you know what? I think it would look better this way, or I need this feature added, or,
oh nice.
So they're always changing.
And
Never like a complete redesign, but an evolution throughout.
so is it like on Netflix, or if I wanted to go watch this, where would I find it?
I believe the easiest place to find it is Hulu.
Okay.
If you don't mind being a little bit behind, if you're like me right now, because it's very close to the end. It's streams week of as it does in Japan on Crunchyroll.
I just finished the last season of Orange is the New Black like 2 weeks ago, and I'm just finishing Grace and Frankie, so I'm okay with being a little behind.
Sure.
I will say, like, did you watch Orange is the New Black?
I watched the first couple seasons and kind of just got bored.
Yeah, see, that's kind of what happened. And then I was like, let me finish this stuff. Let me start clearing out all these old lingering things. And I realized, because I did the last 3 seasons, like, over, like, 2 weeks. And I realized toward the end of it, the Piper character, like, I did not care for her. Like, I was way more interested in the other women in the prison, and every time Piper would come on, I would just roll my eyes and be like, ugh, she's the worst. Which is bad because I know it's based on a real woman's story, and her name is Piper. So I'm hoping they fictionalized her enough, because if not, she is the most insufferable person that I like. I feel bad for people who know her in real life.
Right, and I think that's a pretty common response to that character. Really.
Like, you start out really rude. I mean, like, on the one hand, there was a point where I was okay with it, where I kind of enjoyed the fact that we saw how sort of prison changed her, I guess, is you like, because she starts out pretty, you're pretty typical, like, you're going to root for this character type of character. And then just as the show progresses, she turns into like this horrible, awful monster. And there's a point where I was there for it. Like I thought the commentary of like, look, this is what sort of institutions can do to you when they don't have sort of like proper watch, like there was some decent commentary to be had, but at some point she just was oh my god, it was just terrible. Like and so at least for the last few seasons, they very much taper off how much time you get with Piper, and I was grateful. Like I was way more interested in all of the other stories. For me, it really sort of was like when we're getting sort of the stories of like the women of color, like and how like that for me was where I was most interested. Like I felt like there was some, like a really good attempt at like sort of explaining, just I don't know. It was, but just anytime she would come on, I just like, ugh, why? Why must we see her? Give me more Janeway. And again, Kate Mulgrew is a great actress. I just don't understand why she's never had good hair in anything.
I didn't think the Janeway hair was bad.
Janeway's hair was terrible in every season of Star Trek Voyager. She had the front. My family background is very evangelical, and those first few years she had like the Pentecostal like wife haircut where it was like all in that weird bun. And then they gave her that weird bob, like from Dumb and Dumber. I'm just not. No.
Real fast to answer Brick's question, was most of the main cast of Full Metal Alchemist white? I assume so. I think they were because I think that was a fictional Europe they were in that show.
Yeah, probably if it's European based. I mean, if it's set in Europe, like there's a lot of white people in Europe.
Right. But that show is a one of those alternative histories, so it wasn't any countries we necessarily
Okay.
identify because it's a world in which instead of technology, it's magic that the world has evolved on.
Okay, so what I will say, and this, like this is probably super white of me, and I'm okay with that because I can grow and get better. I will say it always throws me when I realize Sailor Moon is white because of the blonde hair.
Right.
Um, like I never, anytime and they did a live action Sailor Moon, and it was an Asian actress with like white blonde hair, and it threw me a little bit at first. Um, I don't know why. Again, it's just sort of that Western mindset where it's like blonde hair equals white person.
Well,
Um,
she is Moonshin. Moonies?
yeah. So, but but I had no problems with any of the other characters when like when I saw live action Sailor Moon stuff, and it was but it's just the blonde thing threw me for a long time, and that's my own internalized issue to deal with, but it actually was super helpful for me like especially a few years ago when the Ghost in the Shell thing happened, and um very Asian actress Scarlett Johansson starred in that. Uh,
What was that movie with oh my god, I'm blanking on names. She played Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man series.
I'm sorry.
Emma Stone.
Emma.
Emma
Oh yeah,
Stone.
Emma
When
Stone.
she was an Asian actress or Asian in a movie.
Yeah, I remember that too, and I'm just like, girl, I like you. What are you doing? This is 1950s, 1960s. Andy Rooney. No, Mickey Rooney. Andy Rooney was that guy that used to get on the news and go, "Do you ever wonder why?" And you're just like, "Oh, why are we watching this?" He's dead now, so R.I.P. Sad, miserable old man. Um, I hope your afterlife doesn't make you wonder why as much as living in the world did. I'm
I
sure he's
assume that he's not in hell, but if he is, because I don't believe in hell, but
if you okay,
I was just gonna say if he is in hell though, he's working.
yeah,
It's his job to sit there and go, you ever wonder why you think it's hot, but it's not as hot as you think it is?
yeah. No, see, he probably did go to hell initially, and then that there was a week of that, and the devil was like, "No, it's supposed to be you suffering, not me." So they just sent him elsewhere. They're like, he can't stay. Like he's too much of a bummer. And so I just lost the one Andy Rooney fan who subscribed to me. He's like, "Oh my god, the sacrilege!"
That Andy Rooney dollar is a very valuable one to have.
That's an untapped demographic nobody ever thinks about when they make YouTube videos. I was just about to send you a super chat, and then you started dogging on my hero, Andy Rooney.
First, how dare you? Second, why?
Right. Sir, I apologize. Oh shoot, I packed the ukulele. I can't even do a proper apology. My apologies, Andy Rooney fans. I hope like Gloria Gaynor you will survive the horror of me talking smack about your hero.
My hero, Andy Rooney.
Right. There's a whole school of like people who go to learn how to be crusty old dudes who wonder why in a chair, and when they say you wonder why, you just picture like a spray of spit arching out from their face like a mist from a snake. This is my protective layer of spittle. All right, let's see what kind of. Yeah, Chris picked some fun stuff. Good morning, Payne. Lovely to see you. Yeah. So, anyway, now that we've insulted Andy Rooney fans, potentially offended people who are okay with black face and Asian face and yellow face and all that. Um, anyway, so I'm using pink on her arm, using a light deco pink for the armor. And just like the song says, with this pink, you're going to get the party started, but subtle. It's going to be a subtle starting of the party.
You don't want to just go full party right off the bat.
You can, like, especially because it's like, is pink there yet? Because if pink is there, you can't get the party started properly. Like, you have to get it started, but it's only when you know pink is on the way. Otherwise,
she prefers it that way. You know, she doesn't. She's started enough parties. It's time for you to kind of get it started.
Well, you know, like, and to you, pink, we raise our glass because we are wrong in all the right ways. You realize that song is now over 20 years old, Chris?
I'm not okay with that.
I'm not either.
Age is terrible. I hate it.
So my funny pink story is I bought that. That was one of the CDs I bought right as I was getting ready to move to Oregon from Texas. Because that song hit and it was just perfect while I was driving around Texas, like, you know, closing bank accounts and all the things you have to do when you move cross country. Yeah, because I had a local credit union, so I went and got like US Bank because there were US banks everywhere. And then I moved up here, and my training class for my first job up here, there were like 30 of us because it was like, I need something. I'm almost out of all of my .com severance money because it's expensive to move up here and buy a bunch of DVDs so you can watch movies in your new apartment in Oregon. Anyway, we're not going to talk about the time I went to Borders and spent $1,000 on DVDs. I got some good stuff though. Anyway,
I would be at Walmart at midnight to the tune of Tuesday to pick up my DVDs every week.
Oh yeah. So, but anyway, one of the kids in my training, and I say kids because I was like, I don't know, mid to late 20s at the point. And it was his first job out of high school. And and he was not 21 yet, so he wanted to do drag, but he couldn't go to clubs to do drag because he was only like 18. And but he would get calls in the middle of training, which you weren't supposed to do, but he was the only like 18-year-old in there. And it cracked his ringtone changed, and usually it was just like, oh my god. And then one time he got a call right in the middle of like the final test you had to take to get out of training, and it was pink, get the party started. But this was old ringtones. This was before it was that phase before it was the actual song. It's just like the little MIDI. Is that what we called them? The little MIDI.
Yeah, they were MIDIs.
So it was like the little tinkly. Oh my god, we all cracked up. Even the, you know, like training lady who was supposed to be mad because of the interruption was trying not to like completely lose her shit. So it was one of those moments. He was really embarrassed, but it was okay. Ironically, he and I were the last two people from that training class to leave the company. So go figure. Everyone in class who was like, he's not going to last a week with that attitude. He outlasted all of you. So
yeah, I get to be a little bit backwoodsy that way. I remember I was working a job and there was this guy who I thought was always really well dressed, and then one day he was peeling out of the parking lot rocking some Madonna, and I kind of went, oh, I get it now.
Yeah,
I'm slow.
I remember he had his boyfriend showed up on Valentine's Day, came to his desk and gave him like flowers and candies and big old kiss right before like he left. And I remember some old woman sitting next to me was like, oh my god, the outrage. And I just looked at him like, ma'am, I can smell you, you're old, you need to shut up. So she asked to be moved right after that, but whatever. She did smell, and she was old and crusty, and she was a chain smoker. And if you're a chain smoker, I apologize for the slander that's about to happen. But she she would sit there and she'd just be like, I use eucalyptus because it's the best for your skin. And I'm just sitting there like, man, you look like the body. You know, she chain smoked so much, she had like that smoky, ashy thing on her skin. So she looked gray. she just, she got a crush. She was old. And when I say old, I mean like in her 60s, right? And she got a crush on one of our coworkers, Dave, who sat, it was like me, then her, then Dave for a big chunk of time. And I would look up and she would just be staring at him, gaze. And he was younger than he was like 21, maybe 21. And she was like 6, and she just had this huge crush on him, and she'd just be gazing at him. and,
What can you say, honey? You want what you want.
right. And oh my god, this is horrible, but I'm sharing it and we're all gonna laugh. But she would try to it's you know, like when you're a teenager and you don't know how things work, and like you try to get someone's attention by, oh my god, well, like I would throw my pencil across class all the time so that it would land in front of a cute boy that I want. So then he'd bend and snap and you get to see the butt. Then he would have to hand you your pencil, like, you know, like you do that when you're 14. She would do this all the time, like 60s, right? Do this all the time to try to get the attention of this 21-year-old. And every time she would do it, she would try to, I guess, do it would be the softer side of Sears version of her. And she would be like, Dave. And I would die every time. And we had instant messenger. And at one point, you know, because I sat between the two of them, and I look up at one point and there's a message from him, and he's like, help, she won't stop looking at me. And I look over and she's gazing at him longingly. And like, I'm just like, hi, can I help you with something? She's like, oh no. So one day she was not at work and he was like, oh, thank God. And I'm like, why? I was like, why, Dave? And then I may or may not have sang The Love Boat in her voice, like in the entire theme song. And I will say that that was not good for my vocal cords. So I had already screwed up my vocal cords by one time at spring break. I got a little bit too into Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. I used to be able to hit a lot of those notes. But there's a lot of things you should not do. And yeah, so that did not help my vocal cord issue whenever I sang the entire Love Boat theme to Dave that day. But it was worth it for the comedy of it all. Let's see. Oh, what? Chat is just chatting. All right, let's see.
Doing all the chat things.
As they are wont to do. Okay, so she's got brown eyes. That's green ochre. Actually, let me put a little bit of the green ochre in her eyes. There. Before I add brown in there. There we go. You can't see it, sort of, but I've just got boxes all over the place, over everything for all the stuff. So, should have cleaned out better before this, but I was just like, it'll be quick. It'll be easy. I'm just going to do a basic manga set, and then here we are. Oh, yours is coming along nicely. All right, there.
Yeah, I've been dealing with a lot of, hey, you remember when this happened like 20 years ago? Because I've kind of reconnected in a very friendly way. In case my wife is watching, to remind her.
Yeah.
With my my high school sweetheart, we'll call her.
Okay.
And there's just a lot of like, hey, you remember this? That was half a lifetime ago. Like,
yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, high school like that has sort of been consistent because I've stayed in touch with a lot of my high school friends. So, they've got kids having children now.
Oh, there's that.
I mean, not just the one friend we had who had like her first baby like in ninth grade. So, like she's 13, 14, giving birth. Of course, she's a grandma already. But I mean, like friends who waited until their 20s to start having babies are, like have kids who are graduating college and having babies. And so that stuff, I sort of made peace with like 5, 6 years ago. It's all the weird stuff from when I moved away from the South, when I moved up north, that it's like, wait, that was 20 years ago. Like the other day I was like, I should go get food from like this place that I used to love to go to, and they're closed. And I was like, man, pandemic got another one. And my friend was like, they've been closed for like 15 years. Like that was like 20 years ago where we used to go there. And I was like, oh God, you're right. So
But it was weird because she sent me a copy of my senior photo and prom photos, which have been long lost to me. So it's just like,
aw.
oh, I used to be young. I didn't always look like this.
Wait, you were young? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I know. Well, I was actually probably kind of an old man, even
So
at
you
that
weren't
age.
so you're not Benjamin Buttons, is what you're saying.
No.
Okay.
I'm not on my way to babydom.
Well, and if you did, you would have a YouTube channel where you keep talking about Masters of the Universe toys. So there you go.
Well, see, my trick there is I would be signing all the beauty product deals. Like, look at how much better my skin is.
Right? It would be like Tom Hanks and Big. Oh my goodness. I was talking to who was it? Was it last week? Maybe I don't know. It might have been when Dad at Arms was here last week. Colt. We were talking about Big and how that's a little messed up in retrospect. The whole romance.
So many 80s movies like Revenge of the Nerds does not hold up.
It does not. Yeah, no. There's
that's straight rape, people. That's not even
Yeah.
kind of funny. It's just rape.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh yeah. So, which it's really hard to go back and watch some of that stuff where you're like, I really loved that as a kid. I'm just glad I don't have kids that I'm trying to show this stuff to.
Right.
I did, like my niece and I did some of the watch party stuff for a while there. But luckily I screened a bunch of stuff ahead of time, so there was nothing unfortunate that happened. But we almost did 16 Candles before I rewatched it. I'm like, I'm gonna hold off on that. So and she's a mom now, and so I just was I'm glad we did not watch that, because there are parts of it that I think, well, they definitely don't translate well, but I think, I don't know, some of it probably would have translated less. I have to be careful in how I talk, because she is not somebody who does public stuff, and it's not, there are things, you just don't discuss stuff about your family or whatever that, so, the weird part of being on the internet. So yeah. But yeah, there's definitely some stuff in 16 Candles that would have been very upsetting to her. So, and again, I'm just glad I watched. So I could be like, let's watch something else. Let's watch something newer. Let's not do an old movie. What's ironic is some of the stuff that has aged the best, ironically, is some of the old slasher movies. So, I mean, part of it, I think, is they didn't have as many minority characters in those, so there was less sort of racism that was going to accidentally sneak in. Because the existence of them in sort of this racist vacuum of like everyone who dies is white. or the black character dies really quickly, so there's no time for bad
Well,
humor to happen. But
and of course, it's a teaching moment. Like, remember, kids, if you fornicate before marriage, you will be murdered by a
yeah,
crazy
right.
maniac.
Yeah, exactly. Which, like, it tracks. Like, depending on where you live right now in the United States, that could very well happen. So, if you're anywhere near Crystal Lake, OJ Simpson may at any point rise up from the lake if you're having premarital sex and just murder you. So,
Don't do it.
don't do it. OJ will get you.
He could be supernatural now. He has passed. So,
Well,
good point.
his audacity was supernatural level, so it's definitely possible. Definitely possible. Oh, OJ.
The juice is loose.
But yeah, so
I think it's funny that he was the runner-up for the Terminator.
I'm sorry?
O.J. Simpson was the runner-up for the Terminator.
He was?
Apparently, but he didn't get it because no one thought that he was a believable murder machine.
Oh my goodness. Ironic. I will admit, I enjoy watching the Naked Gun movies, especially the first one, a lot more because of, like they put that character through some terrible, terrible things. He like gets run over, he gets like knocked off the bleachers and like there's just some horrible things they do to the character, and I'm gonna say it's pretty cathartic at this point to watch the Naked Gun and see OJ get the business. All right, there we go. Trying to get an anime-ish look to the way I'm doing the hair. But that it's quite working. I bet if I go in with some dark brown, I can get that. Right. Technically, she doesn't have any, but I'm going to put a little bit of violet on top of the eyelid and around the eye. Not as makeup, just to make it stand out a little. Just a little bit in the cheek. Actually, I'm going to shade with it. Get the outline of her face. And what are these little pads on her fingers? Is it just more of the interface?
I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure what they're doing there. That's kind of interesting. I think they're trying to highlight her. Well, no, I'm looking at the figure, and it's like they're little purple pads on her fingertips. I've not noticed. So,
okay.
Good eye.
Well, at first I thought they were just sort of, like an artistic thing, but they're raised on the finger. Yeah, like on the thumb, it could easily just be, like artistic thing, but they're actually raised up. So definitely a little bit more to them. So that's fine. Cool. Well, I'm glad you had the figure right there for us to look at. Nice. I'm actually going to put some pink to the skin before I add in some tones. Too much. All right. All right. I think I have a skin tone plan. I'm gonna do some yellows and gold shades in it to try to give her, I don't know, I'm gonna make it pop a little bit and make it a little bit less than, I don't know. I'm trying to embrace the anime of it and go with a little bit more arty stuff than I would normally do. So, yeah, I think some golds and some oranges in the skin tone sort of help give it a cartoony look. I hope, or it'll look like trash. Either way.
You know what? You just got to go for it. You got to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's sort of, again, one of the reasons why when you said this, I was like, yeah, let's do that, because I don't often do stuff on even on with guests that aren't like part of a book that I'm working on, so that, you know, having the page completed built into like a bigger project I'm sort of working on. So I don't. So there's just extra. This doesn't have to mesh creatively with like other pages that I'm going to do, or, you know, like eventually I'll get somebody to narrate the story that is in this coloring book, and then this one page is too artistic, so it doesn't quite mesh. So I don't know. It feels weird to be sort of freed up that way, and trying to fight my instincts to not just, you know, to sort of lean into that and have fun with it. So I'm actually really glad you suggested these. All right, so it's a very orangey, sort of salmon-y color. Oh, sicky, sicky. Yeah, that's working. Well, we're at the part where I'm getting so into the process I'm forgetting to talk.
Yeah, that happens. Also, right now, I will say I have a political ad going in my ear, and I'm like,
Oh,
I
no.
cannot wait for the to be past November.
That's horrible. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, I keep getting those on YouTube, and I'm just like, why?
Well, my problem is I keep getting YouTube swinging like wildly,
Yeah.
directly at what I want to be seeing for ads. Like,
YouTube-
but you live here.
I was watching something on YouTube the other day, and I, you know, because I'm in the partner program now, I'm trying to like watch more ads when, you know, when like it's easy. And I clicked on like an hour and 30-minute video, and I was like, I'll just let the commercials play, because I know a lot of, you know, it was like a essay video where somebody did a really, really good deep dive on stuff. And so I was, but also just because I do YouTube and I know how it works, like I know a lot of people don't watch, you know, people will not finish a video or they'll skip around. So I'm like, I'm just gonna let it play, and I'll do the ad so that, you know, there's some extra AdSense for this person. And I was, when I was over here working on, you know, working on videos, so it's a lot easier to put stuff on when I'm working on a page and just letting it play. And I try to, a lot of times I'll watch like podcasts that people will stick on YouTube, where there's not actual visual, it's just like a still picture and it's, you know, the podcast.
Right.
And the commercial came on, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just let it play. And I realized as I was sort of getting into it that it was like 6 minutes and this commercial was still going. I looked down, it was an hour and 15-minute commercial.
One time I got served up an entire like Bud Light sponsored Post Malone concert as an ad.
Yeah, and it was just, I was pretty annoyed because, like, you know, like I will click stuff knowing like this page I'm working on filming, it's going to take an hour and 15 minutes. So I'll try to pick something that's going to last that whole time. And I sort of, if I'm filming long form, I just, you know, like I have to be mindful of how long the file is because it won't always import easily from my phone to other devices. I lost a video one time because it was just too, you know, like it started getting issues once it got to a certain size. So that could have screwed up my video depending on if it was one of the days where Apple and my phone and all the things decided to be a jerk. But like an hour and a half, and I was just like, this seems like this should never happen. Like I should never, you know, like I get if I'm watching an hour video where their system might be, oh, well, you know, like one of these 10-minute videos maybe, and I probably would have been fine with that. It was when I looked up and it was like an hour and a half. I'm like, it's technically, I think it was longer than the video I was watching. And I'm like who watches that? Like, why would you even? I mean, I guess there are people who specifically are paying for free YouTube, you know, like the YouTube Premium just to avoid that, but it just was weird. I was not happy.
Yeah, I got a free trial of YouTube Premium, so like, you know, it's weird to watch live streams start when they're supposed to when it's a
Yeah.
channel.
All right, there we go. Ta-da. Excellent. Very good. See, Thanos, keeping the dream alive. All right, and where's that? So I almost gave her a Starfire skin tone. Not quite, but almost. So I have to work more gold and orange in here. And for the anime of it all, I'm going to get fancy with the background.
There you go. You got to have a bold, stunning background.
Yeah, and I've been having a lot of fun lately with these Karan Dash water-soluble Neocolor tubes. Yes, they are linked below in the description.
So you should probably buy them if you're watching.
Yeah, I'm an Amazon affiliate, so if you buy them, I get a small commission. And I will say I got one of my first Amazon, they send you a gift card if it's under a certain amount. Got my first gift card ever from them and used it to buy paper, so I put it right back into the channel.
I briefly had an affiliate link, but I kept forgetting to use it, and so it went away.
Oh.
But I do have an Entertainment Earth link that is also not
nice.
Anybody, so
at some point, I guess I should get one of those. I just don't do as much action figure stuff, so it doesn't feel as relevant. If I did more, once I start doing custom stuff again, once we're in the new place and I can set up a proper studio where I have room and the ability to spray paint, like I will probably start doing customs again. All right, so over here we're going to do blue. Sort of a bright violet. And then over here I'm going to do pink. So. And yes, I did just say it like Carrie in the movie. It's pink, mama. Right before her mama says, I can see your dirty pillows. Everybody can. That's a movie that needs action figures. I really need like a Carrie White figure. And it's an easy like variant. Like, because they can do before the pig's blood and then after the pig's blood.
I mean, you'd think at least Super 7 would be throwing like reactions at that. Something simple.
Yeah, it seems like at least reaction. Like,
oh, you know what? No, I got it. NECA Toonie Terror.
Oh, there you go. And then because it's NECA, like it will fall off your shelf and shatter into a million pieces, like my Michael Myers figure did that time.
Just like that.
And since all of the slasher movies ripped off the shock ending of Carrie, like it comes full circle. It's like a circle of life.
Also, I don't know why. One of the things I love about My Hero Academia is they call their abilities quirks. Like it's your
They call them what?
quirks. Like you have a
Oh,
quirk.
Oh, nice. Well, some of that is likely because up until recently, Marvel and DC jointly owned the trademark on the term superheroes.
Well, and apparently it was a fan translation that caused that. Like somebody like from Japanese to Portuguese to English decided that the word they were using was quirk, and it caught on so well.
Nice.
They just, ran with it.
That's really cool. I now feel like I want to track this down and watch it.
And the nice thing is the manga it's based on literally just ended like a month ago.
Oh, nice.
So, the anime is probably a season away from that, but they're kind of in the throes of that final end game right now.
So, in other words, if I were going to deep dive on it, now is the time, is what
It's
you're
a
saying.
great time to do it.
I was on a Zoom call with somebody about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was coloring something, and they were just like, I don't watch ASMR. And I'm like, great, because I don't do ASMR videos. And they were like, but I'm like, I'm sorry if the microphone is picking up the sounds, but I have to listen to your voice. You can deal with this. And they did not appreciate that, but whatever. It was very rude to suggest that I can make money on the internet.
How dare you? We just had an updated policy put out at work that, make sure you don't use your company provided equipment to make money.
Oh no.
And I'm like, well, it's a good thing I'm not monetized. Not that I'm using it for 90% of what I do anyway.
Are there people like filming their OnlyFans down at your office? What's happening?
I just think it's just, updated policy because some lawyers said, what if something happened?
Gotcha. I have a friend who briefly did OnlyFans, but she was doing the OnlyFans where like you go and you buy a cake, and then people pay you money to sit on the cake.
Weird. I mean, well, everybody has their thing. I don't want to kink shame. Don't yuck any yums.
For sure. I'm just saying.
If somebody paid for it, more power to you.
Enough money that she was able to buy the cake and then pay her rent for a couple months.
Hey.
I was just like, I don't know. Like, I would still want to eat the cake afterwards, and that's weird. So.
Right. Well, that's. I was just gonna say, what you do is you cut the cake in half. You ruin half the cake.
Right. The part they can see.
Right. But you save a little bit of cake for you.
When I mentioned that to her, and she was like, "Yeah, but there are probably people who would pay to see you eat the cake afterwards." And I'm like, "No, we're not doing this."
You got to save something for yourself. You
There will
know,
never, yeah. There's not ever going to be a Allison Eats Cake channel. Um, it was tempting for like a second, though. Not gonna lie. There was a moment where I'm like,
well, you know, I've pitched to a couple people a reverse OnlyFans where you pay me to put my clothes back on.
yeah. See, like like it seems like there would be an. I bet it's sort of like the whole like purity chastity movement. There's got to be an audience for that.
Right. The photos will continue. They'll have to revive the Comstock Act and, you know, make the mailing stop.
Yeah, there's got to be an audience for people who are like, I need to see you be more wholesome, but watch it happen so I can feel good, and I'll give you money to do it so I can say I saved you. Oh man, there's got to be like a huge industry for that. I saved somebody today from a wanton laugh of wantonness. Probably have an uncle who would watch that kind of OnlyFans content. Anyway.
Only saved. Only redeemed.
Right. Yeah, there's an untapped industry there. It couldn't be called OnlyFans. You'd have to call it like Only Judgmental Cows or something like that. Because it's very judgmental.
Only haters.
Here we go. Yeah, this is nice. I'm enjoying this. Sort of the blueness and then sort of mixing them. I've been playing with these a lot lately and quite liking a lot of the outcomes. I'm going to need to start printing on different paper because what I use right now is too thin. So I get a little bit of warp, and then sometimes I use too much water and it soaks through. But the more water I use, the more swirly effects I can get. So I'll be upgrading, or just I have to be more mindful when I print stuff out as far as what I'm going to do with the page, which is never a bad thing. Okay, let's see. Kenzo is in with an update. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I just heard that out of my. I was like, wait, what? What happened? How'd that happen?
Yeah, and then with card, like, yeah, exactly. We've reached that point of the conversation this morning. Well, it's a late day for some of y'all, so.
I was gonna say this seems like a pretty standard Allison and Chris mess around.
This really kind of like this is just, yeah, it's just the conversation that happens. So. I'm not a super filtered person about certain things, like, there are things I won't talk about because, like that would be stupid or gross or rude or whatever, but pretty much everything is fair game. Depending on the person, obviously. Like, it's not like I would have conversations like this with my grandmother when she was alive. I mean, now that she's dead, based on what she believes her afterlife is going to be, she's probably listening right now.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's there's a fear I have is that I am wrong, and there are some very judgmental people.
See, when I was younger, that sort of stuff would wig me out. Like, oh my God, my dead grandmother, at the time it was a great grandmother, or, like my dead great uncle, or, because when I was a kid, it was all the old people. Now we are the old people. But then at some point in my 20s, I was probably at a rave when I had this realization. So, like, just think about reasons why I would have been at a rave in my 20s, and my mind might have been open to new ideas. I'm not going to say it because I am technically monetizable now. Certain things definitely get you in trouble. But anyway, I was just like, but if they're dead and they see that, that means they've chosen to spend their afterlife watching what you're doing. So it's okay. Like, that's on them. If they don't like it, they can prove that there's a life after death and move something, and then you can communicate with them and get one of those John Edwards shows, Crossing Over with Allison. I talked to my dead grandmother about all the gross stuff that you've done this week. Pay me money and we won't. It's kind of like extortion, though, so it's kind of illegal. But anyway, I'm just saying. I let go of that sort of. All the dead people can see what I'm doing. Like, at this point, if they're dead and they're watching me, then that means the afterlife that they chose for themselves, not super exciting. And so.
Oh, Shoto, your costume is so boring. Which is why I don't have his figure laying here, because I was like, oh, he'll come up with something better at some point. No.
Right?
Not.
But he didn't.
Oh, no, I think I just really goofed.
You just what?
I think I gave him full sleeves in a world where I shouldn't
Oops.
have. The fans will be so mad because I'm the fan here.
Oh, no. All right. Here we go. Yeah, no, I like this. I think this is a fun choice. Thank you, Chris.
Of course.
I'm not going to get to the other page. I
Okay.
thought I would, but I'm getting so fancy with like this background that I'm having too much fun with it. I mean, I might, but probably not.
Well, you're missing out on some red and white hair here.
Yeah, I know, but it's just, I'm going to let this dry so I can go back in and do some more stuff.
Well, I will say, despite the boring design, Shoto is an interesting character because his dad is... So, like everything in Japan, superheroes are ranked. And his father is the #2 hero in the country.
Gotcha.
Realizing his own shortcomings and how he may never become #1, he entered an arranged marriage with a woman whose quirk could offset his to try to produce a better offspring.
Oh, wow.
So
that's...
So his dad has the ability of fire, so he married a woman who produced ice, so his children could cool themselves down.
And which one is he?
That would be Shoto. They got the red and the white hair. The red, signifying the fire. The white, the ice.
Okay, so the one at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's him, Robot Girl. Then who's the dude with the green hair?
That's Izuku Midoriya. He's your main character.
Okay.
He was born without an ability, but through circumstance, he met the #1 hero in Japan who revealed a secret that no one could ever know, that his power was given to him, and he has an ability that can be transferred, and he gives it to Izuku.
And then the fox cat person at the end?
That's Bakugo. His ability is that he sweats basically nitroglycerin.
Oh, that's a problem.
So, like, his big grenade-looking forearm pieces are actually storage tanks, so he can store up his sweat and ignite them in giant bursts if need be.
That's got to make you popular with romantic liaisons.
Right. Well, and then there's, an undercurrent through the whole show that there's a theory that every generation, abilities become stronger, quirks become stronger, and eventually humanity cannot handle it anymore, and we're heading towards an extinction.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, again, Japanese kind of nihilism on it a little bit there.
It's even nihilistic when it's bright and poppy.
Right.
I mean, they also gave us the glory that is Godzilla, so.
Well, exactly.
I wonder what could have inspired them to be so nihilistic.
Oh, I have no idea. Some can never say, really.
Yeah, right? It's a mystery wrapped inside of enigma, inside of a Manhattan Project. It's interesting, like, one of the, sort of, because of the research job I have with Toy Geeks, it always feels weird to talk about, like, I don't know, it just feels weird talking about that. It's like, I'm not trying to brag, I'm just saying, like, because of this thing that I do. So I've been digging, obviously, into various toy lines. I don't know. Well, anyway, I've been looking into G.I. Joe for reasons. Sort of more deeply than I ever have before. And it's really interesting how in the early years, they sort of licensed the line out to different countries. And all of those early characters were sort of like recolored or like renamed to things that sort of met the country they were in to meet like sort of their cultural norms and standards. But over time, as G.I. Joe became more successful, it was the opposite, where they started, like England, for instance, had like Action Force, right?
Right.
Which originally was sort of Polytoy trying to get something homegrown to compete with the massive money that Star Wars was making. Because even though they distributed Star Wars via Kenner in Europe and England, they were, of course, paying royalties, royalties upon royalties to get those toys. Because this was before Hasbro could just sell all over Europe like they do now. So Action Force started like 5 POA, very Star Wars like compatible. And then G.I. Joe, like in '83, they purchased some of the molds and recolored them and made new characters and sort of started integrating them into the line. And then over time, they actually adopted, Action Force became like G.I. Joe or whatever. And it was just straight up the same characters. And it's just really interesting to see sort of the reverse of what a lot of US companies did in the 80s with things like, like I think the earliest example was 70s, like G-Force Battle of the Planets. And like, but in the 80s, we got like Transformers, GoBots, Transwar Z, Voltron, even, where it was like all of these Japanese and Asian anime shows, a lot of which had some really sort of adult content, like adult theme, like what we would consider adult themes, not necessarily even like sort of, sexy time content, just some of the, characters actually died and like.
Right. Like I think of Gundam in the 70s over in Japan, where it's really a show about the horror of war.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. It's just, and doing the G.I. Joe stuff, it's been really interesting to see sort of the reverse of that, where eventually even Japan like was importing G.I. Joe stuff, sort of the opposite of what was happening with Transformers and Hasbro. And it just, I don't know, it's really sort of, it's a deep dive I've never had reason to take before, really, just based on what my toy collection kind of looked. I've got G.I. Joe stuff. I collected Joe as a kid, but it wasn't it was sort of, I came in really late. If we had not gotten the flag on sale that time, I probably would not have gone deep at all. And like I had Scarlet, I had the Baroness, I had Lady J, and then Zorana hit, and we got the flag, and then I was into Joe. So I was sort of coming in '86, '87, which is when most people that's when I got out of Joe. That's when it got stupid. That's when I started liking G.I. Joe. But it's just sort of interesting, around the time I sort of got into it as a kid and really got into it is around the same time sort of like Japan started carrying G.I. Joe, and and some of these countries where, like the country that Glinda comes from, that like they took the Scarlet mold, repainted it, and made her sort of a regional appropriate character. And then, but eventually they did get Scarlet because, eventually, because of the cartoon and the media, it just became this phenomenon where people wanted the actual real version or the original version. I think real version is probably the wrong word. So it's just kind of interesting to see the reverse of what happened with like Transformers and GoBots and Gundam and all this stuff. So anyway, just an observation.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Robotech, how many people see that weird mismatch and now they want that original flavor Macross and Southern Cross.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I loved G-Force as a kid, and I was really confused when I discovered as an adult Battle of the Planets. And before I realized what had happened there, because I was just like, this isn't quite what I remember from when I was a kid. And then, of course, eventually, like I pieced it together and figured out what had happened. And then, of course, Secret Galaxy did an amazing episode on it.
No, not Dan Larson.
Not Dan Larson doing amazing things on the internet. God.
I mean, I wouldn't watch that man talk about just about anything and find it fascinating.
Exactly. Like Dan Larson. Ugh.
We all just struggle to exist in the same plane as Dan Larson.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so it's sort of interesting seeing the flip side of that. Where it's like, wow, like the interest here is really cool. And there'll be more of that. I'm really early in my G.I. Joe research. I think I'm only through about halfway through 1984, so it's...
What I think is really cool about G.I. Joe, though, is the way they try to, like, give everyone representation in, like, the hometowns.
Yeah.
There's a Joe from your state, maybe from where you are right this moment.
Well, especially with 1983, I noticed, like, not only that are they trying to branch out, but it's like almost every second year character is like Native American or Hispanic, or like there's a lot of diversity added in that second wave in 1983 to G.I. Joe itself. Like wave one had you've got Stalker and Scarlet, like, which is pretty diverse for 1982 toys. Like a woman and a black person in the same wave. Oh my gosh.
It was woke before woke.
It's so woke. But wave two, like we've got Native American characters, and there's just looks like a really concerted effort to sort of like open it up to like more people, and to get more kids a character that they could attach to, which is cool. Like that's really, like, I sort of never noticed that as a kid, how, and like obviously there's Spirit and Roadblock, there are a lot of characters that are diverse, but it's a few of them are like Spirit is a little bit stereotypical, so like that's not necessarily he's sort of the Apache chief mode, where it's like he's kind of what a stereotypical Native American would look like at the time. He's still one of my favorite characters, don't get me wrong, but I'm aware of the limitations, and sort of the cringiness of it a little bit in retrospect. But I don't know, it's just cool to sort of see the reverse of that, where they're taking something from America. And, that happened in the 80s. There was a point where American culture really blew up, and internationally, where people were, sort of into it. And so it's just kind of really cool to see that happening. All right, so I'm gonna go in now with the paint pen and just do some lightning and I don't know, just wanna have fun. Add a little extra color. I don't know if she at all has lightning stuff. I'm just gonna go for it. So anyone watches this who knows this property very well and none of this makes sense, I apologize, but blame Chris.
It's my fault.
It's all Chris's fault.
I did it. I have received an update. I have a chicken sandwich waiting for me. I'm very excited.
Uh-oh. Excellent. Oh, here we go.
I'm actually probably going to be a one pager today too, and I'm normally kind of
We
a
usually finish
guy.
up, so excellent. Well, you also often you'll pick pages that I mean, we often do DC. We usually do DC stuff, but also you'll pick one with only say one character on it, or like the time we did the Total Justice page. There wasn't a lot to that page, so like once you finished coloring the heroes, it was kind of done. And technically, this should have been real. If I were doing this as a short that I had planned out, I would have been done by now. But I didn't plan it up, so I'm just making it up as I go, and quite enjoying that. Thank you, Chris. I don't actually give myself a lot of permission to just have fun when I'm doing stuff for the channel, so.
Well, I'm glad I could contribute to that.
It's a good experience. I mean, stuff is fun. It's not drudgery, don't get me wrong, but I don't do as much experimentation with like supplies or with looks or just not planning it. I mean, the basic coloring of stuff is fun. And then sometimes stuff will go awry and then you have to fix it and that can be fun, but this is just, I'm just winging it. So there's something very fun about that for me right now. So thank you.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, and you know what? I need to credit my wife. She was the one who saw these and went, "You should do that. Just mix it up." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know."
That's cool. Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Plastic. Well, Mrs. Plastic. Yeah. How is because I know at one point you guys occasionally were doing on the your channel sort of like breakdowns, like watching like shows together and then talking about them. Are you guys going to do some more of those, or?
I don't know. The problem with the Shiny Plastic People channel is it's the land of my whims. And it kind of just like, oh, you know what? I think I want to do this right now. And that's what it will be for a while. You know?
Well, no, that's not a problem. That's cool. I mean, for a while you were the Batwing channel.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to do one more Batwing. It didn't quite take off as well, but I really liked it. Actually, no, I take that back. I have another Batwing pre-ordered.
I mean, there's always going to be Batwings.
That's right.
It's interesting to me, like, people do way more Batwings at this point than they do Batmobiles.
You know what? There is a ton of Batmobiles, though. Like, I can't believe we're getting 1/10 scale Batmobiles. It's crazy. I don't know. And Super 7 just announced that Cyborg 89 Batmobile that's like over $100 that I will not touch because I can't
Yeah,
stand it.
what is happening with Super 7 now doing Batman stuff?
I'm not sure. Because that's definitely Spin Master's territory, that scale. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
how that worked out.
Yeah, it's just odd. Like, I mean, I know that the way all this stuff opens up means that there are more toys, there are more choices, but like, I feel like if I were a Batman collector, I would be really annoyed at. But I'm also a collect them all OG girly person. Like, back in the 70s, it was, on the back of every Kenner, Star Wars action figure, collect them all. Every Masters of the Universe, collect them all. And so every time, like Turtles, I'm so glad I'm not a Turtles fan because it would be insane trying to keep up with.
What a time to be a Turtles fan.
Yeah, right?
I think if I was a Turtles person, I have some Turtles because I am a child of the 80s. I can't help it. But I'd only be collecting like one very like simple kind of turtle. Like I would either be a cartoon guy, a comic guy, a certain cartoon, because there's too much. There's just too much turtle.
Well, I I have I have the Super 7 Ultimate April O'Neil because, lady action figure.
Oh, I like the lightning effect back there. That is so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to. Again, like I said, I don't know if there's any sort of lightning aspects to her power, but it just felt like I'm doing this weird spacey background. Let's do some lightning. And some star fields, and again, I'm just trying to have fun with it and be open to new experiences. But I have got turtles now because of the Turtles of Grayskull thing.
Right, and I picked up the Turtles April, or not April, Tila, just because again, girl toy. I need to get some female representation in my collection. It's something I feel like as a collector with nieces who hang out sometimes, even though they're starting to get too old for that kind of stuff, want to see that. So I need to make sure it's there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it's packed up. I was about to say I've got the Turtle of Grayskull Tila. She's actually one of my least favorite of the Motu characters that they've done. The turtle, she just, I don't know, it feels a little uninspired. But Big Bad Toy Store did let me know my Sorcerer's April is ready, and that one's really cool. Like,
that is very cool.
Well, she's not ready. She'll be ready. Like, she's incoming, which makes sense because I did my final. I pulled the trigger on my pile of loot like last Wednesday, so and it shipped on Thursday, and within an hour I got notice like, oh, the next 2 waves of stuff that you've ordered are now going to be here. Wait, Kenzo has an update for us. 10-9, Broncos up 1. What?
Very exciting. Yeah, no, that's such a fun line, and I'm glad they're also they've announced they're doing it with Thundercats.
Yeah.
I kind of hope that some of those designs lean more towards the 2000 Thundercats, which felt very sword and sorcery. Not that the original didn't, but the newer one seemed to lend itself more to that Motu aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, like, Motu has done a few of the 2000 and X inspired figures, but not a lot. So it would be nice if sort of as part of whatever the crossover ends up being. I think the 2000 and X designs would probably mesh pretty well with the 2000 Thundercats, but I think in general regular Thundercats too
Right. Well, yeah,
might
the
look
original
better with.
Thundercats are definitely more that bulky build anyway.
All right, let's see. Okay. Oh wow, we're almost to the 2 hour mark. Getting there. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I want to add a little bit more brown. Because now with the background here, I feel like it's getting just a little too lost. So go in with a much darker brown and darken the hair up a little bit.
Yeah, I've mostly avoided the Motep Manut as well, Andrew.
Yeah, yeah, I got notice on Friday, I think, Thursday or Friday, that they were on the way. So they should probably Monday is when it'll all start hitting. I kind of I was going to at first, but then because I was not feeling the designs of Turtles of Grayskull, they did not all of them photographed very well, but man, they look really good in hand.
I have to admit, Surfer He-Man Mikey is tempting just because it's so silly.
Yeah, there's some but like the merman is amazing. And the Beastman, him obviously it's just regular Beastman, but the armor that came with him alone, I was just like, okay, like this armor is really cool. I'll put it on a different figure, and then use this Beastman for something else. But the Skeletor, the Shredder, like there's some, the He-Man and the Turtles and Tila have been the only ones that I've felt completely sort of, I don't want to necessarily say miss the mark, but they just feel the most uninspired. And I know there are people who like those, so if you enjoy those, I'm happy for you. They just don't quite hit, like the right notes for me, and that's fine. Like if you like them, I'm happy. I still bought them. A lot of those I bought because I'm like, I'll just use the parts, the armor and the whatnot to kit bash some original characters. So, but yeah, the Sorceress the Sorceress April looks really cool. So I can't wait for that one. And the Hordak looks amazing. So there's some cool stuff coming up in that line. It's definitely one I'm okay with cherry picking and not getting every figure of, which is not normally my case with Origins. I'm normally all in. But I've been able to just cherry pick for Turtles of Grayskull.
Well, and it kind of helps to avoid that, or it's easier to avoid that outside looking in because you have the cartoon collection going right now, which is just like 80s fan perfection.
Yeah, so I don't know. And I was not doing toys really when they came out. My brother had all of them. I would play, like when he would play, sometimes I would play with him. And I would always be April. So like April was cool. Or my cousins, or if I would babysit and they have turtles, of course I would end up being April. So so I, like I've always sort of, and I enjoyed her on the cartoon because I had to watch a lot of Turtles cartoons growing up, obviously.
Funny enough, is in high school, I had this buddy who was kind of like, the like performer kid, and he would host
Yeah.
like kids news when we were children.
Yeah.
And I would get so mad because I'd wake up not knowing exactly when Turtles were on, so I'd be flipping, and there he'd be. Oh, it's kids news, and I'm like, I hate you.
Huh.
So as a teenager, I'm like, oh, you're a rad dude, but you were the bane of my childhood.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, that should have been a fumble. Okay.
All right. Let's see. Oh, we're about 5 minutes till. Where are you at, Chris?
I'm feeling like I'm done with my
Okay.
one here. I mean, I could poke at it forever in a day.
Yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at, is the poking at it, but it's not bad poking at it. It's just making sure the hair looks good. So I'm gonna solo layout you really quick. There we go.
There it is.
Excellent. Looking good. I really like sort of what you did with the red hair at the end, the way like some nice shading. I think it's funny. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say the Corolla pages here, Crayola, are kind of cheating a little bit with the way they're graying in and letting some of that happen. So I'm kind of a fan of that.
They do a little bit, but you can still mess that up. So it's pretty good. And none of that background you created is grayscale. So just think of how far you've come since the first time we did one of these.
Yeah, I'm definitely pushing myself, and I appreciate you letting me do that, having that playground to do that in.
Yeah, no, it looks really good. Great job. And then really quick, I'll throw mine up. Let me adjust a little. Sorry about that. Do that so they focus on her. Yep, there we go. So as always, I will post a picture of this on my Instagram after we're done. And I will quickly just, I know the lighting's a little dark, but like I said, we are packing up to get moved out. So not all of my lighting is available. So there will be a little darkness in the coming weeks as I do live stream. So apologies, but you know, it's part of the process. So, all right. Really quick, where can the people find you, Chris?
I am sometimes found at Shiny Plastic People. That's at SPP Toys. Pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, here on YouTube. So I don't know what my schedule looks like. I'm kind of just playing by ear.
Okay.
But I'm almost more regularly here, almost monthly. So I like it here.
That's the goal, is to try to obviously I'm still doing like guests, you know, people that aren't my friends, but at the same time I'm wanting to have you and Andrew from Gatey's Toy on regularly, just because it's fun to talk to the two of you. And it gives me a reason, in this case, a reason to like branch out and have fun, but also to color stuff I want to color that I can that builds into the regular channel while having a discussion about the toys. So, and of course, we're both with both of you, like conversation sometimes meanders and veers off into unexpected, sometimes questionable corners of the, which is good. Like, you know, that's always fun. So people enjoy the spontaneity. So
yeah.
Let's see, really quick. I gotta be official about this, right? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Well, if you're watching, I'm pretty sure you subscribe. But so don't forget to like and subscribe. That helps the channel a lot. It feels so weird to say all of this stuff. Coming up this week, I've got tomorrow. I have a Color and Chill Masters of the Universe 1984 Spectacular. That's 5 pages from that 1984 coloring book I'm working on. And next Saturday, if you're enjoying the toy booklets, there will be Star Wars Episode 1, Hasbro's first toy booklet. So we're getting into the 25 years ago toys. And then next Friday, there will be also a Masters of the Universe 1984, the double page spread coloring show on Friday. So, plus, I've got a variety of shorts. Next week, I'll be dropping a couple Halloween shorts because starting on October 1st, we're in the spooky times. So this will be an addition. I'm doing regular shorts plus some Halloween shorts. So enjoy. Watch them. Have fun. Share. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Allison Troy, Retro Toy Princess, and I will see you in the next one.